The door slammed shut. The echo reverberated through the concrete hallway like a gunshot, and in that moment, everything we thought we knew about Monday Night Raw just got flipped upside down. Paul Heyman stood there, that sinister grin stretching across his face like a Cheshire cat who just devoured the canary, and when he opened his mouth to reveal the name of the mystery attacker, the entire WWE Universe collectively lost their minds. Seth freaking Rollins. The visionary. The architect. The man who swore he was done with the games, done with the betrayals, done with stabbing people in the back. But here we are again, watching history repeat itself in the most devastating way possible, and if you're not absolutely furious right now, you haven't been paying attention. Listen, I need you to understand something right now before we go any further into this absolute chaos. This isn't just another backstage segment. This isn't just another reveal. This is the beginning of something that's going to tear the entire foundation of WWE apart, brick by brick, and if you think you can afford to miss a single second of what's coming next, you're fooling yourself. So do me a favor, hit that like button right now because you're going to want to remember exactly where you were when you found out the truth. Drop a comment telling me if you saw this coming or if Paul Heyman just broke your heart into a million pieces. And share this video with every single wrestling fan you know who's been trying to figure out who the mystery attacker was, because they need to see this. They need to understand what just happened to our Monday nights. Now let me take you back to that moment, that precise instant when everything changed. Adam Pearce is standing in his office, papers scattered across his desk, the weight of running Monday Night Raw clearly pressing down on his shoulders like an invisible vice. The attacks have been relentless. Superstars getting jumped in parking lots, ambushed backstage, taken out during matches by someone in a black hoodie moving like a phantom through the arena. Every week, another victim. Every week, more questions than answers. The WWE Universe has been in an absolute frenzy trying to figure out who's behind this reign of terror. Was it a returning superstar? Was it someone from NXT looking to make an impact? Was it an entirely new face looking to establish dominance? The theories have been flying faster than a Roman Reigns spear, and social media has been ablaze with speculation. Then Paul Heyman walks in. And you just know when Paul Heyman enters a room with that particular look on his face, someone's about to get absolutely destroyed. This man is a master manipulator, a conductor of chaos, the special counsel to the tribal chief himself, and he doesn't make social calls. He doesn't drop by Adam Pearce's office to discuss the weather or talk about catering options. When Paul Heyman shows up, it's because he's holding cards that nobody else even knew were in the deck. Pearce looks up, and you can see it in his eyes, that mixture of exhaustion and dread, because dealing with Paul Heyman is like trying to negotiate with a hurricane. You know destruction is coming, you just don't know what form it's going to take. The tension in that room could be cut with a knife. Heyman takes his time, because of course he does. This man understands theater better than anyone who's ever held a microphone in professional wrestling. He lets the silence hang there, lets it suffocate the oxygen out of the room, lets Adam Pearce squirm just enough to know that whatever's coming next is going to be monumentally significant. And then, with that voice that can switch from whisper to roar in a heartbeat, Paul Heyman starts to speak. He talks about how chaos has consumed Monday Night Raw. He talks about how week after week, superstars have been falling like dominoes. He talks about how the entire locker room has been living in fear, looking over their shoulders, wondering if they're next. And Adam Pearce is nodding along, waiting for the punchline, waiting for Heyman to get to the point because he knows there's always a point with Paul Heyman. That's when Heyman drops the bomb. That's when he reveals that he knows exactly who the mystery attacker is. Not speculation. Not theory. He knows. And he's willing to share that information, but nothing with Paul Heyman comes free. There's always a price, always an angle, always some benefit to the bloodline lurking beneath the surface. But Pearce is desperate. The pressure from management, from the superstars, from the fans, it's all crushing down on him, and he needs answers. He needs this nightmare to end. So he tells Heyman to reveal the name. Tell him who's been terrorizing Monday Night Raw. Give him the information so he can finally restore order to the chaos. Paul Heyman pauses. He savors this moment like a fine wine, because he knows that what he's about to say is going to send shockwaves through the entire wrestling world. He leans forward, and with absolute certainty, with zero hesitation, he says the name that nobody wanted to hear but maybe deep down we all should have seen coming. Seth Rollins. The man who built Monday Night Raw with his own two hands. The man who carried the company through some of its darkest periods. The man who revolutionized what it means to be a main event superstar in the modern era. Seth freaking Rollins is the mystery attacker, and the implications of that revelation are absolutely staggering. Think about this for a second. Really let it sink in. Seth Rollins, the man who's been preaching about vision, about evolution, about being the standard bearer for excellence in WWE, has been systematically taking out superstars backstage like he's running his own personal hit list. This is the same Seth Rollins who spent months telling us he'd grown, that he'd evolved past the petty games and the backstage politics. The same Seth Rollins who positioned himself as a locker room leader, someone the younger talent could look up to and learn from. And all along, he's been the monster hiding in plain sight, wearing that elaborate ring gear and that maniacal laugh like a mask to hide his true intentions. But here's where it gets even more twisted, even more psychologically devastating. Why would Paul Heyman reveal this information? What does the special counsel to Roman Reigns gain by exposing Seth Rollins as the mystery attacker? Because Paul Heyman doesn't make moves without calculating every possible outcome 3 steps ahead. Is this about protecting the bloodline? Is Roman Reigns somehow threatened by Seth's reign of terror? Or is this something even more sinister, a chess move in a game that's playing out on multiple boards simultaneously? Maybe Heyman wants Seth exposed because it serves the tribal chief's interests. Maybe having Seth Rollins distracted, having him dealing with the consequences of his actions, keeps him away from the championship picture. Or maybe, just maybe, this is Paul Heyman planting seeds for something even bigger down the road. Let's talk about Seth Rollins for a minute, because his character arc has been one of the most fascinating journeys in modern WWE history. We watched him as part of the Shield, that brotherhood that conquered everything in their path. We watched him betray Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose in what was, at the time, one of the most shocking moments in Raw history. We watched him become the Authority's golden boy, the corporate champion. We watched him fight his way back from a devastating knee injury that could have ended his career. We watched him become a babyface, a locker room leader, Monday Night Rollins, the man who showed up every single week to deliver excellence. And now, we're watching him reveal himself as the architect of chaos once again, and the tragedy of it all is that maybe this is who Seth Rollins has always been underneath everything else. The pattern is undeniable when you look back at his career. Whenever Seth Rollins feels threatened, whenever he senses that his position at the top of the mountain is in jeopardy, he doesn't just compete harder, he destroys. He systematically eliminates threats. He proved that when he broke up the Shield with a chair to Roman's back. He proved it when he cashed in Money in the Bank at WrestleMania to steal the championship from 2 other men's moment. And he's proving it again now by taking out potential challengers, potential competitors, anyone who might stand in his way of reclaiming what he believes is rightfully his, the top spot on Monday Night Raw. Adam Pearce's reaction to this revelation tells you everything you need to know about how serious this situation is. This isn't a smile and a handshake and a "we'll deal with it next week" situation. This is career-threatening. This is lawsuit territory. This is the kind of thing that could get someone fired, suspended indefinitely, or worse. Seth Rollins hasn't just been winning matches through questionable means, he's been committing assault. He's been ambushing fellow superstars in areas where there's an expectation of safety. The parking lot, the hallways, the locker room areas, these are supposed to be neutral zones, and Seth has violated the trust in the most egregious way possible. Now I want you to think about all the victims. Think about every superstar who's been laid out over the past few weeks, wondering who attacked them, dealing with injuries, missing shows, losing opportunities. They're going to want revenge. They're going to want justice. And Seth Rollins just painted the biggest target imaginable on his back. There's no way this doesn't lead to an all-out war on Monday Night Raw. We're talking about multiple superstars who now have legitimate grievances, legitimate reasons to want to destroy Seth Rollins, and the absolute carnage that's about to unfold is going to be unmissable television. But the biggest question, the one that's going to keep us all awake at night until we get answers, is why? Why did Seth do this? What's his endgame? Is he trying to clear out the roster to get back to the Universal Championship picture? Is he trying to send a message to Roman Reigns and the Bloodline? Is this about proving that he's still the most dangerous man in WWE? Or has Seth Rollins simply snapped under the pressure of trying to maintain his position at the top of an increasingly competitive roster? Maybe the visionary has been driven mad by his own vision. Maybe the architect's grand design has crumbled, and this is him tearing everything down to rebuild it in his own twisted image. If you've been with this channel, if you've been part of the Ring Rumble family, you know that we don't just report the news, we analyze it, we break it down, we look at every angle and every possibility. And I'm telling you right now, the Seth Rollins revelation is going to define Monday Night Raw for months to come. This isn't a one-week story. This isn't something that gets resolved with a single match. This is a storyline that has tentacles reaching into every corner of the roster, and the ramifications are going to be felt for a very long time. So if you haven't subscribed yet, if you've been on the fence about joining our community, now is the time. Because we're going to be covering every single development, every twist, every turn of this story as it unfolds, and trust me, you're not going to want to miss a single second of our analysis and predictions. The genius of Paul Heyman revealing this information in a backstage meeting rather than in front of the cameras, in front of the WWE Universe, tells you that there's more to this story than we're seeing on the surface. Heyman could have made this revelation in the middle of the ring. He could have orchestrated it for maximum exposure, maximum ratings. But he did it privately, which means there's strategy involved. It means there are moves being made behind the scenes that we won't understand until weeks or maybe months from now when the full picture becomes clear. That's the beautiful thing about Paul Heyman's storytelling. He plants seeds that don't bloom until the perfect moment, and by then, you realize you've been watching a masterpiece unfold in real time. Seth Rollins now has a choice to make, and it's the kind of choice that will define his legacy in WWE. Does he own this? Does he come out on Monday Night Raw and admit what he's done, justify his actions, embrace the role of the villain who's willing to do whatever it takes to get back to the top? Or does he deny it? Does he claim Paul Heyman is lying, that this is a setup, that he's being framed by the bloodline to take him out of the championship picture? Either direction creates compelling television, but the path he chooses will determine whether this is a redemption story gone wrong or a descent into darkness that we never saw coming. The beauty of professional wrestling, the reason why we're all so invested, why we spend hours analyzing every segment, every promo, every backstage interaction, is because when it's done right, it mirrors real human complexity. Seth Rollins isn't just a bad guy now. He's a man who's made catastrophic choices, who's hurt people, who's betrayed trust, but who might believe in his twisted mind that he's doing what's necessary. That moral ambiguity, that complexity, is what elevates wrestling from simple good versus evil into something far more interesting, something that makes us question our own loyalties and beliefs. So here we stand at the crossroads of one of the most explosive revelations in recent Monday Night Raw history. Paul Heyman has pulled back the curtain. Seth Rollins is the mystery attacker. Adam Pearce has to figure out how to handle this without the entire show descending into complete chaos. The victims want revenge. The bloodline is somehow involved, pulling strings we don't fully understand yet. And the WWE Universe is absolutely losing their minds trying to process all of this information. This is wrestling at its finest, when the storylines matter, when the reveals hit hard, when you genuinely have no idea what's going to happen next week but you know you absolutely have to tune in to find out.